Courtney with Cooking for Real with Courtney, and today we are going to go to Kroger, which is a local supermarket that I like to shop at. And it's not a health food store, but they have both natural and organic options and regular options that most people tend to buy. If you want to come along with me, and I'll show you how to read labels and what things to look for and to avoid in some of the processed food that you might be buying, and why those things aren't the best things for you. So let's go. So I have a few things in my cart here, and I'm going to show you the alternatives of certain things that you buy in the store that might have specific ingredients that you would want to avoid. The first ingredient that we're going to talk about is hydrogenated oils, which is what is shown in these granola bars right here. And these are Special K bars, which might seem like they might be a healthy alternative, but when you look at the ingredients, it says partially hydrogenated oils. And the reason that you might want to avoid these is because they are made in a lab. Our bodies do not know how to process them, and it's better to stick to healthy fats. So the alternative to granola bars, I usually buy these for a convenient snack. They're Lara bars, and you can usually find them in the natural section of the supermarket. And when you look on the back, this one only has 2 ingredients, cashews and dates. I also wanted to point out that some people might think that these are a healthy alternative because they're in the natural organic section. But when you actually look at the ingredients, you can see they hide it under the flap here. All of these ingredients that are kind of small, and I usually try to stick to 5 ingredients or less in the foods that I buy. The second ingredient that we're going to talk about are nitrates and nitrites. Usually these are found in processed meats. We love bacon in our house, but we don't buy the kind that have nitrates or nitrites. The reason you might want to avoid these is because they've been linked to cancer, and I don't really want something put in my food that makes it last longer than it normally would. Nitrates and nitrites are artificial preservatives. Usually I try to buy a local bacon if we can. Sometimes I buy this if this is the only store that I'm shopping at. And right here on the label it says no nitrates or nitrites added. The third ingredient I'm going to talk to you about is monosodium glutamate, which is also known as MSG. This is usually found in spices. It's everywhere, so that's why we need to read the ingredients in all of the food that we buy if we buy processed foods. MSG hides under many different names. The most common one is monosodium glutamate, which is in this Hidden Valley Ranch packet. It would be so simple to just mix up some of your own seasonings, and if you are interested in one of the best recipes that I've found to make ranch, you can look back on my Facebook page. The fourth ingredient is high fructose corn syrup, and this is usually found in things like ketchup, bread, mayonnaise, a lot of condiments, yogurt, sodas, and what high fructose corn syrup is a concentrated form of sugar. They cook it to a certain extent where it makes it more concentrated, and it's very addictive. So this Heinz tomato ketchup is sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. You can make your own, but if you want one that's easy to buy at the store, there's this brand that I found, The Simple Truth. It still has sugar in it, but that's a less processed form of sugar, and it's organic, so it's non-GMO, which we'll talk about in another post. The last ingredient is artificial sweeteners, and the one that we're going to focus on today is aspartame, which can be found in many different things, but the most common is Diet Coke. It's the third ingredient: water, caramel coloring, and then aspartame. What aspartame is an artificial sweetener, which means that it's made in a lab. Whenever manufacturers remove sugar from food, they have to add something back, and then they can still label it as healthy. So when we see the word diet on things, or sugar-free, those are the labels that you would want to avoid. We don't want diet, and we don't want sugar-free, even though that might seem like a healthy alternative. So while I recommend that water and milk are your best options for drinks, if you still want to have a treat or a Coke every so often, here's an alternative that is at the supermarket. It's a 0-calorie soda and has no artificial sweeteners. So these are just a few examples of ingredients that you would want to avoid in the packaged food that you do buy. I just wanted to say that I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with all the choices and the changes that you might feel like you need to make in your life. It's hard to change your diet. So just take it baby steps at a time. Don't feel like you have to throw everything out of your pantry right now. Just work towards picking one new ingredient to avoid each week, and slowly your pantry and your fridge will be filled with more real food.